Okay, so we tend to think of problems as puzzles, right? Like a chess game where there's a clear board, clear rules, and eventually a clear solution. But what about the problems that don't play by any rules? The ones that are so messy and complicated they seem to fight back every time we try to solve them. Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, there's actually a name for these, wicked problems. We're talking about things like climate change or systemic poverty or these deep, long-standing geopolitical conflicts. They're just these tangled knots of history, politics, and raw human emotion. So what do you do when there's no single right answer, and it feels like every potential solution just creates a whole new mess?
And this is where our most advanced tech, artificial intelligence, really faces its biggest test yet. I mean, we've got AIs that can crush any human at the game of Go and write perfect code in the blink of an eye. But that just begs the question, doesn't it? Can all that incredible power actually help us navigate the messy, complex, and deeply human world of these wicked problems?
Now this is where things get really interesting. Look at the gap here. On the left, that's how we test AI right now, on very narrow tasks. Matching patterns, optimizing for a specific goal. But on the right, that's what these wicked problems demand. Big picture thinking, understanding cause and effect, and maybe most important of all, wisdom, and the ability to navigate competing human values. There is a huge disconnect. And that gap is everything, because optimizing for an outcome is a completely different ballgame than solving for human well-being. So to try and bridge that gap, a whole new idea is coming into focus: useful general intelligence, or UGI. And the key word there is useful. This way of thinking totally shifts the goalposts. It's not about building some super smart machine that just hands us the answer. It's about building a partner, a collaborator that can help us think better, see the bigger picture, and work together on problems that have frankly stumped us for generations. And the whole point here isn't to replace humans. Not at all. It's about creating this incredible tag team where each side plays to its strengths. The AI can just devour terabytes of data, run thousands of what-if scenarios, and spot connections that a person might never see. But we, the humans, bring the stuff you can't code: the ethical judgment, the political savvy, and the deep contextual understanding that only comes from lived experience.
All right, so theory is one thing, but does this actually hold up in the real world? Well, to find out, researchers are putting UGI through the ultimate stress test by applying it to one of the most famously wicked problems of our time, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is a challenge so layered with history, pain, and trauma that it's resisted resolution for decades.
You see, at its very core, the conflict isn't just about land or resources. It's a collision of two powerful, profound stories about who a people are. Both Israelis and Palestinians have these deep narratives of return, of survival, of belonging. And both of those narratives are anchored to the exact same piece of land. And you can't move forward without first understanding that paradox.
And this is so crucial. Think about it. Where you decide to start the clock on history, it basically predetermines who you think is right. The Israeli narrative often starts 3,000 years ago, focusing on ancient roots and the return from a long, painful exile. The Palestinian narrative, on the other hand, emphasizes continuous life on that land for generations and the very recent history of being displaced. Both stories are rooted in fact, but they create completely different ideas of what justice looks like. This right here just lays it all out so clearly. The same exact moment in time, 1948, is lived in two completely opposite ways. For Israelis, it's the War of Independence. It's a story of rebirth, of fulfilling a 2,000-year-old dream. For Palestinians, it's the Nakba, which means the catastrophe. It's a story of losing a homeland, of displacement, of their entire society being shattered. The same event is, simultaneously, the bedrock of one nation's pride and another's profound trauma. So, how does a UGI approach even begin to tackle something this immense? Well, it doesn't play judge, it doesn't pick a side. Instead, it acts more like a cartographer, mapping the entire problem. First, it just absorbs everything, every historical account, every piece of data, every personal story. Then it starts getting creative, generating new ideas that are completely outside the box of current politics. And crucially, it stress tests those ideas, simulating what might happen before finally handing them over to human experts for that indispensable reality check. And this quote from Dr. Michael Rodriguez, I think it just nails the whole idea. This isn't about some algorithm spitting out a magical peace plan. No way. It's about augmenting human intelligence. It's about giving negotiators a kind of superpower, the ability to see the whole board, to understand all the trade-offs, and to explore every possible outcome more clearly than ever before. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that if we want to tackle the world's truly wicked problems, we need to fundamentally shift what we're asking AI to do. We need to move beyond just chasing raw computing power and start aiming for something more like practical, collaborative wisdom.
And that leaves us with a really big question to chew on. If we could actually build this kind of AI partner, one that helps us reason with more clarity, more empathy, and more foresight, what wicked problem should be pointed out first? Climate change, future pandemics, global economic inequality? The potential is just staggering, and it completely redefines what we might be able to achieve together.